How's everybody doing this evening? Internet will be hooked up in a couple of days. Thank God. But I've got 4 or 5 videos actually already edited and ready to go. So I suppose I could take my lazy butt downtown and find a hotspot and upload them. But by the time I get home from work. Anyway, so I thought maybe we'd do a little bit of story time, huh? Came out. But before that, we have still got the hatchet to give away. And we're getting really, really close to 3,000 subs. So, in a day or two, I'm going to do a live feed, and we'll give away the hatchet. And I decided the way I'm going to do it is I'll take the number of subs, and instead of writing everybody's name down and doing the hat thing, I'm just going to put the number of subs in the automatic picker that they actually have on YouTube, and just let them pick the number. Whatever the number comes up, because the way I have it set up, you can either have, when the new subscribers come in, you can have it set in as most popular or most recent, and that's the way I have it, is most recent. So whichever number it comes up, I'll go through the list, and if it's like 1495, the 1495th person, that's who will win the hatchet. I think that's probably the fairest way to do it. I do want to say again, thank you very much to Jennifer and Ed Stevenson for shipping this to us for a giveaway. It's super neat. The weight ratio from the head to the handle is absolutely perfect. The fitmentship is awesome. You guys, if you haven't checked them out, they're on Facebook and YouTube. They actually just put one up on Facebook that I really like, and I think I'm going to try to get it. Anyways, so yeah, a couple days, we'll do a live feed, and I'll give that away to some lucky person. The stickers, I finally, today, I went and got the envelopes and everything. So this week sometime, the wife will go get some stamps, and we'll get them shipped out to you guys. Appreciate everybody waiting for me to send them their stickers and whatnot. So anyways, let's get story time, huh? About time, huh? So I was working for this guy, and we was doing this job down on the Oregon coast, down in Toledo, actually. And it was a nasty, nasty job. Just brushy and steep. I mean, it's some of the nastiest brush I've ever seen in my life. Well, the very last little piece was actually really nice. It was big wood, short yarding, pretty decent ground. The brush wasn't bad at all. The only bad part about it is it was like a basketball, and it rolled off and then went to railroad tracks and then a river and then a field and a back hillside. Well, my boss didn't tell the cutters to leave lift trees along the bank there, and so there was no way to get lift without going across the river or anything. So that's the way we're going to have to do it to get lift, because it's, like I say, it's like 120-year-old fir, Doug fir, so it's pretty good sized stuff. You're not going to be high leading that stuff with a 155 Thunderbird swing yarder, I can guarantee you that. So my boss says, well, I'll get a boat. Just let me know within, a week or so when you think you're going to be there. And I'll either rent a boat or find one of my buddies got one. And we'll get the rigging across for you so that you can make layout and whatnot. Now, you could drive around, but it was a really, really long drive. And what was the deal? For some reason, I don't remember what. Anyway, so for some reason I couldn't take the crummy around. I don't remember what it was. I think it was just because they didn't want the crew being up there, without, for safety reasons or whatever. So he gets permission from the landowners, because there was a different landowner, for us to hang over there and all that. And he calls me and he's bragging about it. Oh, I got permission, da-da-da. I'm going to have to pay the guy $100 per tail hold or something like that. So it was actually a really good deal. So I said, well, a couple, 3 days, we're going to be, ready, so get me a boat. Oh, yeah, no problem, no problem. So I call him again and remind him. Yep, it's coming. So we're down on the rigging, and he shows up, and he's yells at me on the radio, and he says, I got your boat here, la, 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 la. And I go, we're ready to go. It's a rubber raft. And he's like, but we aired it up on the landing for you. Well, I got 5 sections of haywire, block, strap, and all that's got to go across the backside. And since there was a railroad track and it was a really a big river and it was used, so I couldn't just string the haywire across and wait for road change. So I was going to have to do the backside down to the river and then do the front and connect the middle so we could just connect it and get it up. We had to know the schedule for the train and all that because it was an active railroad track. So I just waited till we'd logged the road out. And the whole time I'm like, this is a bad idea. This is such a bad idea. This rubber raft, it ain't going to work. So we put the 5 sections in the block and strap, and we flaked 2 sections out. So I'm going to row across and, pull the haywire across with me so that, the river part of it will be strong, and I just got to hook the 2 ends up. Well, before I even get in the water, this thing's losing air. My buddy Adam, he's like, I'd take your boots off. And I go, take my boots off, then what am I going to do when I get to the other side? He's like, I ain't taking them. And I'm like, I ain't taking my boots off. So we plunked this thing in the river, and it's a couple 100 feet wide, and it's too deep to wade across, and it's middle of February, so it's too cold to swim. It ain't going to happen. I jump in this thing, they push me off, and it's already taking on water. Well, the current was quite swifter than I had thought it was, because all of a sudden I'm going downriver and I'm sinking. So I take the section of haywire that's flaked out and I start taking it through the 5 sections in the block and the strap and everything, because there's a couple $1,000s worth of rigging. I don't want to lose this guy's rigging. String it through, throw it out, boat's gone. I'm going down. Well, I wear 16-inch top West Coast leather boots. So I jump in the water thinking I'm going to swim, and I go bloop, bloop. Those boots filled up with water, and I sunk like a rock. Right to the bottom. So underwater, I got to untie my boots. They float up. My buddy, he's running down the railroad tracks with a long stick. I'll get your boots. I'm like, don't worry about it. They can go. Back up onto the bank I am. And they're like, what are we going to do now? And we're going home. And they're like, you're not going to finish the layout? And I'm like, no. I'm soaking wet. It's cold. And I'm out of cigarettes. Forget it. The guy should have got me a boat. Now I got to hike back up through this fell and buck in socks. Yeah, that worked out really well. So we drive home. And this is before cell phones and all that. So I get home and I call the guy. And he's like, oh, hey, how'd it go? And he was really kind of disappointed in me when I told him that we didn't get it done. And then we get into a pretty good argument over it. And he's like, well, you left in the middle of the day. And I'm like, hell yeah, I left in the middle of the day. I didn't have any boots. So after a pretty good little argument with him, he ended up buying me a new pair of boots. And he's like, well, I can't get a boat out there. I don't know anybody. And I'm like, great. My buddy says, well, I got a fishing pole. And he's told me all these stories about him fishing and whatnot. So I'm like, we'll just take a fishing pole and we'll cast it over there and whatnot. Them guys drop me off over there in the morning when they come around, and then, I'll make the layout and whatnot. So I had the whole back end laid out by the time they drove around and come down. And we was just going to, fling the fishing wire across, and I was going to hook onto this little tiny rope, pull the rope over, hook the haywire, and pull it back. And so we get to Crummy that morning, he jumps in, and I am not kidding you when I tell you this fishing pole is about 14 inches long. Little tiny, like this. Little tiny fishing pole. It's like them little Mickey Mouse ones you buy your kids for free fish day. And I'm pissed. I'm like, really? You think that's going to work? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, it ain't going to work. Well, the other guy in a Crummy goes, I got a crossbow. And I'm like, that's what we need. So we run back to his house, get a crossbow, and we go down there. Them guys drop me off in the dark, and they drive around and come back. They hooked us a little rope to the crossbow, and it makes it all but about 10 feet. Plunk. I'm like, really? He tried 3 or 4 times. Well, each time he tried, the rope would get wetter, so it would got closer, to them, closer to them. Well, I'm like, where's Adam? And he's like, he's pissed off at you because you downed him on his fishing skills. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So about this time, Adam shows up with this fishing pole, and I am not kidding you when I tell you, he goes, poop. This weight lands right at my feet. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hear about this forever. Okay, good for you, Adam. Flat on the back. So we get the layout and everything made, and we run the lines around. Well, now I'm on the backside. We still got a half a day or better of logging. So I'm either going to have to sit back here all day or ride the rigging across. And I'm not a real big fan of riding the rigging. Oh, I got my sections and everything, made my next layout, which took all of about 25 minutes because it was a 155 Thunderbird swing yarder. It's just a couple of sections and a block. That's it. Easy layouts. Anyway, so guy ships the rigging back. I just bell the choker up, step into it, and hook on, grab a hold of the hook, and he starts picking me up. Well, because of the way that MSP carriages run, the drop line like wraps the skin line. So as it's going up, I start making these circles. Well, these circles all of a sudden start getting bigger, and I'm it was fun. I like scary stuff like that, but I'm not a big fan of riding the rigging. Adam's flipping out. He's almost in tears. He's so freaked out about it. So they start running me across. Well, there's standing trees, and I didn't want to go all that high to get above the trees to go across. So I'm just going to have them drop me off in the railroad tracks. Well, as I'm going across the river, I hear a train. And I'm like, what? There's not supposed to be a train today. Well, that was yesterday when there was supposed to be a train. So he has to stop and hold me there as this train goes by. And it seemed like it took forever, like hours, but it was probably only just a few minutes. It was just a few minutes. Anyway, so the train goes by. Adam's freaked. I mean, he's so panicked. He's just, worthless now. He's like, I gotta go to the landing. I gotta go to the landing. Oh my God, I thought you were gonna die. So they set me down. We end up finishing it without, any other big melees happening. But anyway, so the moral to today's story is rubber rafts are for swimming pools and wall hanging, and sometimes it's not the size that always matters. Stay safe, friends. Get logs.